Okay, live from Sunnyvale and DevOps days. I'm here with Noah Sussman. Noah, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, so tell me, what is it you do now, and a little bit about your background too.
Well, currently I'm a consultant in New York, and I work mostly with old media companies, helping them to work out how to leverage the web. But for the last 2 years, I was test architect at Etsy, and I helped them to design the CI system that they're running now that kind of supports this really aggressive 40 deploys a day continuous delivery cycle that they've worked out. And a big piece of that, other than the technology, was working out how does QA look when you are pushing 40 change sets to production like 20 minutes apart all day, every day. Obviously, you can't have anything like the canonical agile release cycle where you have a sprint and then you have a QA phase and then QA signs off and then everything goes to production and everyone's happy, because the QA phase would have to be like 2 minutes long, because that's 10 minutes for testing, 8 minutes for like whatever else you need to do with the deploy, and 2 minutes for QA. So that didn't really seem workable. So I was just here talking a little bit about what we did instead, which is basically to bring people with QA skills in closer to the engineering team.
Embed them, as it were.
Pretty much, yeah, and just sort of give them, have a very few QA people, give them more of a leadership role, more of a guide role, help them, let them affect process, and let them sort of share their insights basically about where software engineers and software organizations tend to go wrong in terms of their expectations and how that can affect production. Because I think quality in a continuous delivery environment is all about missed expectations, missed customer expectations, products that are built correctly but don't do what we expect. And then the other piece of that I was talking about was just that, developer testing and continuous delivery is really, really important. Allspa is really fond of talking about the Swiss cheese model of risk, where you just have all of these little harmless looking defects or shortcomings of a product, and there are cases where a lot of little defects all sort of line up to create a big catastrophe. So the traditional approach to QA has been to sort of say, hey, maybe like having a bunch of people like check the software really thoroughly before it goes out could prevent those kind of Swiss cheese effect catastrophes, and that just doesn't work. What does work is asking developers to take care when they're constructing software and make sure that the number of little harmless looking defects is as close to zero as possible. And that seems to work well, and it also frees up QA to look at larger systemic problems, the kind of problems that are harder to predict, sort of the emergent problems, which are really, in my opinion, are really what we need to worry about.
So what would you say is, in this new model of QA person, what would be the characteristics you look for somebody who'd work well in this sort of new embedded type of a environment?
So the first hire I made in this role at Etsy is Michelle Donetto, who's still there and still doing QA automation. And the way that we selected her was basically I looked for someone who was doing QA, automated QA, at a really large institution where there was a lot of risk. Because I wanted somebody who knew a lot about how to mitigate risk and knew a lot about formal existing processes for handling risk. And then what I told this person when I hired her was, like, we're hiring you for your knowledge. You're not going to use any of the processes that you're familiar with. None of them will work here. And here's why, and 40 deploys a day, blah, blah, blah. But none of that's going to work. What you have to be willing to do when you come on here is you have to be willing to throw everything you know about process away and use your knowledge and your insight to build something new that's going to work here. And that actually worked out really well. So I'd say, what I tend to look for is QA analysts who can do things like read diffs, write simple Selenium scripts, who know how to use SSH, who know how to bounce Apache, who are not just immediately glassy-eyed when a developer starts explaining the technical reasons for a bug. And I think that I think that if you can learn, a piece of programming, that is a great indicator that you can learn it all. It's just a matter of time and focus, and I think that there's a lot of value in technical QA, and so yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity actually right now to bring QA people who are maybe not so close to the engineering process closer in, provide them with more opportunities, a little bit of training, afford them the same kind of authority that a software engineer is afforded, and allow them to invent new processes and solve and sort of look for solutions to these emergent problems.
Excellent. Noah Sussman, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.